Attorney Don Harris in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Learn about divorce laws in this video. Divorce is technically called dissolution of marriage in the law. A divorce is something that you can only do if you are married. Unmarried people may sometimes need lawyers to unwind certain issues, such as property disputes or custody issues, but they do not get a divorce. Moreover, if unmarried people break up, a property dispute would be heard in civil court, not family court. Before parties can get divorced, they have to be married. Normally, that means the parties got a marriage license, had a ceremony conducted by someone who is legally qualified to perform a marriage, and filed a marriage license. There is no common law marriage in New Mexico. Living together and telling people you are married does not make it so in this state. However, it is possible to get legally married in a common law state and then move to New Mexico. New Mexico will recognize any marriage that is legal in another state, including a common law marriage if the parties were legally married under a different state's laws when they arrived. One cannot be legally married to more than one person. One common reason for seeking a legal divorce is that the married parties may have been separated and moved on for quite some time, but never legally divorced. If one of the parties wants to get remarried, the divorce needs to happen first. New Mexico was the very first state in the country to recognize so-called no-fault divorces by statute. This means that there is a very long tradition in New Mexico courts not to focus on other grounds for divorce, such as abandonment, cruelty, or adultery. So long as either party believes that there are irreconcilable differences, that is all it takes. Family lawyers in New Mexico often have to tell their religious and heartbroken clients a difficult truth. Any person in New Mexico is free to walk away from his or her marriage for any reason or no reason. If your spouse wants to get divorced and that decision is final, no judge will interfere with that decision. Further, the courts do not want to hear about immoral behavior. Family lawyers in New Mexico often have to advise their clients the courts do not care if the other spouse was a cheater or emotionally abusive, and there is usually no benefit in custody or property awards in favor of the innocent and faithful spouse. However, truly abusive behavior and immoral behavior are issues in custody disputes. Finally, in New Mexico, if the parties are in full agreement, they can get divorced very quickly, sometimes within days of filing the paperwork containing both parties' agreement. There is no waiting period in New Mexico. One of the most important issues about marriage and divorce in New Mexico is the issue of community property. With some exceptions, community property is property acquired during the marriage, and community debts are debts acquired during the marriage. Marriage is the date that the community begins, and divorce is the date that it ends. One of the most important legal effects of divorce is terminating the marital community. The divorce itself is merely the dissolution of the marriage and the termination of the marital community. When people get divorced, they often have to deal with four main, sometimes difficult topics: dividing property, determining alimony, determining child custody and time sharing, and determining child support. Those four issues are the topics that generate the majority of the actual work of a family attorney. If you want a divorce, you are entitled to one. The same goes for your spouse. There is no waiting period, and the courts in New Mexico will generally be uninterested in whether one of the spouses was engaged in conduct that most people find immoral. However, a divorce can involve complex and profound effects on your property, your livelihood, and your children. You should consult with a family law attorney if those issues are at stake and you're contemplating divorce. Call attorney Don Harris in Albuquerque to answer your questions about divorce in New Mexico.